Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin and analyzing the consolidation that we're in because I believe a very large move is going to be coming very soon. In the short term, we're seeing the S&P 500 break out. It is currently retesting the prior highs, and anytime the S&P 500 does well, Bitcoin always benefits. This means that we should expect to see some volatility coming in very soon. As long as the S&P 500 is doing good, Bitcoin is going to be doing good as well. And so with that being said, I'm going to be breaking down exactly the direction I see Bitcoin headed and how it's ultimately going to be affecting altcoins during this whole process. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. So as we're getting in today's video, guys, you guys will know that we've been talking about the same analysis for over a month now, and it's been very consistent with everything that we've talked about up to this point. We've known that for Bitcoin to be bullish, we have to get a breakout above $29,000, really $29,000 to $29,200. And if we were going to be bearish, we ultimately needed to break down from this level down in here, or this green level basically being $26,600. Now, in the same way that every single time that we tried to break out, we were unable to hold the breakout, and then we ultimately came back down onto support. Every time we've hit this support, we've always bounced to the upside. So we've been bouncing back and forth, ping-ponging back and forth inside of this range, unable to really get clear direction is where the market is headed. Now here's the thing, guys. When we were up at the range highs, I talked about why I was bearish and why I believed that we were going to start selling off. And that's exactly what happened. Now, when we ended up selling off, we came all the way down to this range low. We cleared the range lows, but we instantly rebounded back above. Now, in this type of consolidation, because we were unable to hold the breakdown, we sold off, we got these two moves right in here, but we instantly rebounded, flipped this back as support, and we've been holding it as support throughout this entire time all the way in this consolidation. And so what that tells me is the bears were unable to hold the breakdown. The support was obviously too great. There was a lot of buyers that stepped in. The bulls rebounded the price. We reclaimed this level as support, confirmed that in this move, confirmed it in this sell-off here, and we're doing it really for a third time. So as it stands, I believe that this is going to hold a support. I believe that this is bullish, at least back up to the range highs being $29,000. From there, we're going to be able to get our confirmation whether this thing's going to be able to break out or whether this thing's just going to end up coming all the way back down and bouncing off the support. I would argue at this point that whatever move we're going to be having, whether it's a breakdown of support and us making a bigger correction down here, or whether it's a move back up to resistance, I would argue that the volatility is going to be coming in very soon. If this holds the support, if this ends up being some type of impulse and consolidation, then the next move coming is going to be taking us pretty much straight to that 29 to 29.2 resistance. From there, we could still definitely see a pullback all the way back down to the mid-range point. But if we're going to see continuation, then ultimately this will just resolve in continuation. Now, if we're going to see a breakdown, it probably should have already happened, or it will be happening very, very soon. And that's obviously going to be indicated whenever this support being 26,643, to give you an exact price. Once this level ultimately becomes resistance, then that's where we're going to be expecting a breakdown. But up to this point, the levels are so clear, they're so obvious that anybody can be trading this market right now. And that's why I say that because we're sitting on this support level, you're definitely better off looking for long opportunities until we get confirmed a breakdown of this level, and then, we could be looking for shorts. But as it stands, every single time that we've bounced off this level, we've held it as support. So I won't be surprised to see the market run all the way back up to this resistance over the next couple weeks. And that's actually what I'm going to be watching for in the short term. And a lot of that is kind of indicated by what the S&P 500 is doing. The S&P 500 has been doing really, really well, considering the fact that we recently just broke out of this consolidation. And realistically, guys, we were inside of this descending resistance. And then basically the beginning or mid-April, we finally got to the point of hitting it and retesting that resistance again. And we've been consolidating on that for basically a month now. And so for us to finally break out of that and then also clear the range highs of this high over here and this high over here of our consolidation, that shows that we've not only broken out from this descending resistance, but we've also broken out from a couple different highs, which total time in between you're looking at over 100 days worth of consolidation, and it's this entire kind of V cup and handle type price action, right? So that's why I'm thinking that most likely we're going to be coming to up at least the 4,300 level, and we could go much higher than that. I would think that, if we're to see a pullback, it will most likely happen around that level. We could come all the way back down to basically this entire breakout point being just under 4,200. And then from there, it might take some more consolidation, another period like this, before we are actually able to come all the way back up to some of these higher highs being 4,500 and about 4,636. So that's kind of what I'm watching with the S&P 500. But regardless, guys, if we come out of here on a weekly time frame, I'm going to remove some of these drawing tools real quick so it's a little bit easier to see what the heck's going on. But if we come out here and actually look at what's happening on a bigger basis with the S&P 500, in my opinion, this is a very obvious sort of rounded bottom type price action. And with us breaking out of this descending resistance, and with us already having broke out of this descending resistance, which was our main one, which I'm going to make that a little bigger, right? This was our main bear market descending resistance. We've obviously broken out of that, retested it here. Now that we've broken out of this secondary resistance, I think that that's ultimately all the confirmation that we really needed to confirm that the new cycle's in. And so, in my opinion, a lot of people are drawing this being a big ABC, and we're about, oops, I didn't mean to remove that. A lot of people are drawing this as being kind of like this. It's going to be this big lower high before we start this brand new massive Great Depression cycle. And I can't help but think that that's just really amusing considering Bitcoin looks bullish, gold looks bullish, commodities look bullish, and, all of the markets realistically look bullish together. That stock market doesn't look bearish to me. I mean, we literally have confirmed everything that we would need to see as a bull, and we've consecutively broken out of every descending resistance. Now that we're kind of clearing this next one in line, I think that this is really where we're going to start to see a lot of these markets picking up in value. So this is what I'm watching out for with the S&P 500 and with Bitcoin, at least in the short term. But you guys already know what I've been talking about with Bitcoin for quite a while now. Now, the important thing, if we get out here on a daily time frame, I think it's important that we talk about this because this, in a way, does show somewhat of a bearish alternative, assuming that Bitcoin doesn't hold support where we're at. But, if the S&P 500 is going to continue to break out, I think Bitcoin's going to hold support. But I'm just giving you guys kind of a different sort of analysis. Now, even though we did have this wick right down in here that came pretty close to the 25K level, I wouldn't be surprised if we still have the potential of one more sell-off to come. And the reason why I say that is because this consolidation does look like a potential ABC correction right in here. And so if that's the case, then in every C leg you have 5 impulse waves. So this would have been wave 1, this would have been wave 3, and we would technically be inside of our wave 4 consolidation before our final breakdown leading into wave 5. And in my opinion, that would most likely take us to 25K, and it could take us down to about 24K if we are to see one more final low. But that's kind of what I'm watching out for with Bitcoin in the short term. There's only 2 scenarios here, guys. We're either going to break down from this support level, or in the same way that we've held it every single point up to this, then we're not going to end up seeing that breakdown. This will already have been a completed correction. And in my opinion, this entire consolidation will end up behaving almost identical to the 2019 type of consolidation right here. Now, obviously it's different, and we've talked about how it's different. Basically being our most recent consolidation sold off deeper than the one did in that last cycle. But regardless, when we're coming in here and looking at the same sort of similarities, it really is a lot of those same similarities inside of the consolidation. And that's why I'm continuing to talk about it, is because what this led to was a blow off top. And that's why I've continued to say, guys, we're ultimately going to see the end of a cycle being our first impulse here. And that would look something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 before a deeper ABC correction like that. Or we're ultimately still inside of this wave 5, and it's probably something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to get a completed extended fifth like that. Those are really the 2 scenarios that I see happening. But regardless, what that scenario points to is a blow off top, or this being at the cycle top. And so that's why I've always continued to say, for my personal plan, I don't like to try and nail the exact tops and nail the exact bottoms, because I don't really consider myself a day trader, or even, necessarily a position trader. I would say I'm much more focused on the cyclical patterns talking 2 to 3 year time frames, and that's the way that I've been more profitable. And so that's the way that I'm going to continue to play the markets. So when we're talking about these short-term moves and we're talking about the potential of a lot of volatility coming in one way or another, the way that I like to trade has always been come in here around those cycle lows, really concentrate a big amount of cash, buy up as much as you can, and just be looking to hold the majority of the cycle. If you are willing to end up trying to trade these markets, then, you know, at the end of the day, you have to have something that's going to give you the inclination one way or another to gauge the market direction. And for me, with us being this early into the cycle, I was really confident in buying the dip right here. And I did buy that dip right there. And now that we're at this point in the cycle, I am much more focused on just holding long term than I am trying to nail the exact tops and the bottoms. But I will say, guys, right now I'm going to be holding through any of the corrections. But if we do see a blow off top like this and we run all the way up to $40,000 and even $48,500, I will be selling a lot of crypto. And the reason why is because if we're looking at Bitcoin on a bigger basis, that will be a massive resistance level for Bitcoin. And for us to come all the way back up to that level, 48K, I think it's a very doable level in the same way that it was in 2019, where we made this big swing all the way up here. That was a move all the way to the 618, which this would be the same size of a move. So if we end up seeing a move to the 618 being 48,500, I will 100% be selling some of my crypto. However, with us being right here at 30,000 and 25,000 in that range, I'm not really trying to sell anything right here. I'm not really trying to get in and out of the market because you guys already know that I did that over in this sell-off right there. When we came back down and hit the 618, when we retested that $20,000 level, I bought a bunch of different things with the intention of just holding it for the whole cycle. So even though we've made another impulse and correction, it's not a big worry of mine. It's not a big focus of mine. But if we do see one final blow off top in the market and the price action does take off like this, it's just, to me, a very obvious sign that we're going to see a lengthy period of reconsolidation in the same way that we did in 2019. Keep in mind, guys, it took us almost 500 days from our first cycle top, or what I should say from our first impulse top, to the point of us actually breaking out of that same high. So 500 days it took inside of that reaccumulation. Let's assume that we get, you know, this next breakout and we do something along the lines of this. Let's assume that we get a top in July, right? When do we top over here? June. So let's assume we get a top sometime this summer in the same way that we did in the last cycle. And we reconsolidate for just a year, 350 days. You know, you're literally looking for it would literally be just after the halving of 2024 that the market would start looking bullish again. And that would just be 1 year after. Now, if we're talking 450 days, more along the lines with what we saw in the last cycle, you're looking at fall of 2024, almost the very end of 2024, before we're at a point of breaking out again. Although I will say that I believe this cycle is set to be much greater than our last one was. I still believe this cycle is going to be more bullish, but with us coming into this next move, if we're about to see a big, quick impulse, very much the same sort of price action and consolidation that we saw in our last cycle's run up, I think that it would just be very silly for everybody not to take profits at these high resistance points, these big levels, because I can almost guarantee, I can say with as much certainty that I possibly can as an individual, that we would go through a period of reconsolidation. And if you aren't somebody that's taking profits in there, and you're somebody that's holding throughout this, and we might even come all the way back down and retest the same level that I was buying here at, $20,000 and just sub $20,000. If we do another one of these in a similar fashion, it doesn't have to be quite as volatile, but altcoins are going to get destroyed. All the cryptos that ran up in the first part of this cycle are going to get destroyed. It will be a bloodbath. And so if you made any sort of profit buying in here, I think it would be silly not to take some profit if we see a blow off top. However, what I'm doing right now, even if we saw a breakdown and we made a deeper correction, I'm still going to hold through that because I do have a little bit of cash on the sidelines if we did see a deeper correction. But regardless, guys, my plan has always been the big picture. I was accumulating so heavily throughout this entire consolidation. I took some good profits around this top over here, and then I bought a lot back at the 618, coached a lot of people towards doing the same thing. So I'm focused on the long term. If we see a final blow off top, definitely going to be taking more profits because I want to compound those profits into more long-term opportunity by accumulating more cryptos, guys, because I was able to accumulate a lot more tokens inside of this little higher high and then that dip. And it made me realize that if we were to see a very obvious sort of blow off top where the market just gets very obviously oversold and we're hitting these major resistance levels, and this being our first impulse into the new cycle, that to me is one of the more obvious signs of taking at least some short-term profit. Because while we're at this early point of the cycle, and while I'm still telling you guys that I'm focused more on holding long-term, the first impulse is going to have to go through a period of reaccumulation in the same way all of the other cycles have. Every one of them have. But the difference between this cycle and really the one in 2019 versus all of the others has been all of the other cycles have been short impulses and then pretty obvious reaccumulation. I mean, this ascending triangle would have been really easy to trade and it would have developed its pattern and consistency very quickly, right? And even if we come all the way back over in here, same with this one. From our cycle low to this first impulse, this would have been a really obvious pattern to trade. And we were breaking out really quick going into our next cycle. And so the difference here into 2019 and even into this current cycle has been the fact that we're seeing kind of these mini bubbles, right? 2019 was almost this little mini bubble. It was like an echo fractal, right? Where we saw this short-term parabolic rally. When we broke down from that, we saw this deep bearish decline all the way back down, pretty much corrected the entirety of the move. And then that kind of reset us for a long period of reaccumulation before that next impulse. This was different from all of the other impulses that we had ever seen. Up to this point, this consolidation already looks very, very similar to the 2019 buildup, being this consolidation right there, looking very similar to the one right there. And even where we're at today, looking very similar to this one over in here. And I hope you guys can see that. Let me move this just so that you guys, my camera's not in the way if it is. But if we are to see this final blow off top, and it is to match up a lot more similarly to 2019, it would be showing, in my opinion, that we would go through a longer period of reaccumulation. The bigger the move off the lows, the longer and the deeper the correction is going to be. I don't think that it's going to see a 72% correction like what we saw with the COVID capitulation, but you guys really never know. We'll probably still see an entire correction. We'll probably come all the way back down and make a reversion of maybe even the 618 of this impulse. If we come up to, 48,000, the 618 is going to be taking us all the way back down to pretty much where we're at right now at 28,000. If we come and top shorter being about $40,000, then the 618 would be all the way back down at 25K. So those are going to be long corrections and fairly deep corrections to have to go through. And I want you guys to just be aware of that. Up to this point, the consolidation looks like 2019. And so I'm still kind of playing that. As it stands in the short term, I still think the market can go either way. But at least in the short term, we are holding support. So if as long as we continue to hold support and the same exact level being $26.6 thousand, I think that this is going to make a move back up to the range highs at 29 and 29.2 thousand. From there, we're going to ultimately see if we're going to be able to, get that next breakout. But if we see another breakout, I'm expecting blow off top upwards of 40 to 50,000. If we break down from where we're at right now, I think it's going to be a very obvious thing to tell. We'll break down from this, we'll make this deep correction, and, from there we'll go through a lengthier period of consolidation. I'm holding if we break down. If we go for a blow off top, I'm taking a lot of profit. Wanted to give you guys a thorough update. So if you guys did find value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out. If you guys want to join my Discord and follow all these trades that I take, if you guys want to know what I'm doing with my portfolio, any of the analysis that I do, any NFTs, DeFi stuff, all of that is inside of the Discord where I talk about it into my private group. So if you guys want to join, you guys can sign up on my website. Links are in the description for that. Thank you all so much for the support. I can't wait for this next move one way or another. Regardless, I'm in it for the long term, but if we see a final blow off top like I've been talking about in this video, I really think that a lot of cryptos are going to take off in a big way. And so far, there is a lot of tokens I'm watching being altcoins that look really bullish. They look like they're retesting a lot of support levels. They're looking like they're good buy opportunities right now, which is telling me as Bitcoin's retesting the support, most likely, at least in the short term, we're going to be seeing a bounce, and that bounce really could lead us to a final blow off top of this short-term cycle. So I wanted to give you guys this update to get you prepared. Be ready for the inevitable one way or another, because the volatility that's going to be coming in very soon is set to be massive. So be prepared. With that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.